The firefly positioned itself near what appeared to be an entry point, a pulsing opening in the surface of the Nexus. Hayes clasped Jack's shoulder one last time. "Humanity is proud of you, son." Jack nodded to each of them. Hayes, Lucas, Elara. Then sealed his helmet and entered the airlock. With one last deep breath, he pushed off into space, using his suit's thrusters to guide himself toward the Nexus. As he touched the surface, it yielded like a membrane, drawing him in. Inside was unlike anything he had imagined, a vast space filled with floating strands of dark energy, connecting to spheres of consciousness. Each sphere, Jack somehow knew, was a captured mind, absorbed by the void and now part of its network. The disruptor on his chest pulsed, guiding him toward the center. As he moved deeper, he began to hear voices, millions of them, whispering in his mind, the collected knowledge and memories of everyone the void had absorbed. "Focus, Jack," he told himself. "Remember who you are." At the center, he found it, a massive core of swirling energy, the heart of the void consciousness. As he approached, tendrils reached out for him, trying to pull him in. Jack activated the disruptor. Pain shot through his body as it established a connection between his mind and the core. The voices grew louder, threatening to overwhelm him. But Jack focused on faces: Olivia, Hayes, his family back on Earth. He thought about humanity's stubborn refusal to give up hope, even when all seemed lost. He thought about choice, free will, individuality, concepts alien to the void's collective. "You want my mind," Jack whispered. "Then take this with it." He channeled everything human through the connection: love, hate, fear, joy, hope, despair, a chaotic storm of contradictory emotions and thoughts that the logical, ordered void consciousness couldn't process. The disruptor pulsed one final time, amplifying Jack's mind throughout the network. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The core began to fragment as confusion spread. The absorbed minds, touched by Jack's humanity, began to remember their individuality. Throughout the galaxy, void ships suddenly lost direction. Some went dormant, others moved erratically. The neural weapon targeting humans deactivated. Back in the Nexus, Jack felt his consciousness spreading, thinning. But instead of being absorbed, he was absorbing, connecting with the freed minds, becoming something new. The Firefly crew watched in awe as the Nexus changed color, dark energy giving way to points of light. Hayes received urgent communications. The Void Fleet was in chaos. Coalition forces were pressing their advantage everywhere. "He did it," Elara whispered. Jack did it. 3 months later, Olivia stood at a window on Earth, looking up at the stars. The war was over. The Void Dominion had collapsed after the destruction of the Nexus. Many formerly absorbed beings had been rescued, though most would never fully recover. A coalition delegation was on Earth to formalize humanity's entry into the new galactic commonwealth. Earth's unique perspective was now valued across the stars. "He's still out there somewhere," Dr. Bennett said, joining Olivia. "You think so?" Olivia asked. "The energy readings from the Nexus collapse suggest a transformation, not a destruction. Whatever Jack became, he still exists, just in a form we don't yet understand." Olivia smiled slightly. "That sounds like him, finding a way to break the rules." She placed her hand on the cool glass, as if reaching for the stars. "Wherever you are, Jack, we remember, and we're still listening for your call." The Firefly drifted silently through the dark clouds surrounding the Nexus. Jack sat alone in the small ship's cargo hold, preparing himself. The neural disruptor device lay before him, its lights blinking softly. The door opened, and Elara entered. "We're almost there," she said quietly. "Hayes is plotting the final approach." Jack nodded. "And Lucas, working on a way to get us out after." She couldn't finish the sentence. "After I connect with the void," Jack said. He looked up at her. "It's okay. I've made peace with it." Elara sat beside him. "There must be another way." Dr. Bennett was clear. The device needs a living mind to channel its effect through the void network, and humans have the best chance of maintaining some sense of self, at least long enough to activate it. The ship shuddered slightly as they passed through a denser part of the cloud. The comm crackled to life with Hayes' voice. "We've got visual on the Nexus. Everyone to the bridge." The sight that greeted them was both beautiful and terrifying. The Nexus hung in space like a massive brain made of shifting darkness. Pulses of energy flowed across its surface and out through tendrils that stretched into the distance, connections to every void ship and weapon in the galaxy. "No defenses that I can detect," Lucas reported, scanning the structure. "They never expected anyone to get this close. Or they don't fear what we can do," Hayes said grimly. Jack fastened the neural disruptor to his suit. Dr. Bennett's voice came through the comm system from the distant Coalition base. "Jack, once you're inside, find the central processing core. The disruptor will guide you. It's tuned to seek the highest concentration of neural energy. When you reach it, activate the device and try to focus on the idea of disruption, of breaking connections." "Understood," Jack replied. "One more thing," Bennett added. "Olivia wanted me to tell you. Come back if you can. Any way you can." Jack smiled sadly. "Tell her I'll try." The Firefly traveled through the darkness of void-controlled space, following the coordinates from Ilara's brother. They had been flying for 5 days, avoiding patrols and hiding in the shadows of dead moons. Each person on the small ship carried the weight of their mission silently. "We're approaching the next marker," Jack announced from the pilot's seat. "Some kind of abandoned space station." The station loomed before them, a skeletal structure floating in space. Parts of it seemed melted, as if it had been partially absorbed by the void, and then abandoned. "Life signs?" Colonel Hayes asked. Lucas checked the sensors. "Nothing clear, but there's some kind of energy reading. Very faint." Ilara studied the station. This was Outpost Zeta-12, a Coalition research facility. It was taken 3 years ago. They docked carefully at a twisted airlock. Hayes led the boarding party, himself, Jack, and Ilara, while Lucas stayed behind to monitor the ship. Inside, the station was dark and eerily silent. Their helmet lights cast long shadows as they moved through corridors that showed signs of a desperate battle. The walls were marked with weapons fire and strange, oily residue. "The void was here," Ilara whispered. "But where are the people?" They followed the energy signal to a sealed laboratory deep in the station. Hayes used a cutting tool to open the door. Inside, they found a single figure hunched over a console. "Karan," Ilara called out, her voice trembling. The figure turned slowly. It was humanoid but changed, skin mottled with patches of void-like darkness, one eye replaced by a shifting black orb. But when it spoke, the voice was clear. "Ilara, you came." Kiran struggled to his feet. "Not much time." "The void, inside me, fighting it." Ilara rushed forward, but Hayes held her back. "Be careful. He's been compromised." "I'm still me," Kiran insisted. "For now. Been hiding here, maintaining the beacon, waiting." Jack stepped forward. "You sent the coordinates. You know how to reach the Nexus." Kiran nodded jerkily. "Yes. I've been there. The heart of the void. It absorbed me. But something went wrong. My mind resisted somehow. I escaped, but part of the void came with me." "How is that possible?" Hayes asked. "Don't know. Maybe human DNA in my ancestry. Our great-grandmother was from Earth, before the containment protocol." This revelation shocked everyone. Ilara looked stunned. "Is that why you sent for humans specifically?" "Yes. The void can't predict human thought patterns. It struggles to absorb human minds completely." Karan's body spasmed. "Listen carefully. The next coordinates are dangerous. The void grows thicker there. You'll need this." He handed them a small device. "Dampening field. Hide your thoughts. Got me this far." Over the ship's comm, Lucas's voice came urgently, Multiple void signatures approaching. We need to leave now. Hayes took the device. Come with us, Kiran. But Kiran shook his head. Too late for me. I'll hold them off. The station's reactor. I can overload it. Create a distraction. Ilara refused to leave, but Kiran grabbed her hands. Sister, this is my choice. My redemption. The void is spreading inside me. Soon, I won't be myself. With tears streaming down her face, Ilara finally nodded. Jack gently pulled her away as Hayes downloaded the final coordinates from Kiran's console. They raced back to the Firefly as the station's alarms began blaring. Through the viewport, they saw void ships approaching. Hang on, Jack yelled as he fired up the engines and pulled away from the station. Behind them, the reactor exploded, creating a shockwave that damaged several pursuing void vessels. The Firefly rode the wave, then disappeared into the darkness of space. Hours later, as they approached the final coordinates, Dr. Bennett contacted them from the Coalition base. The neural disruptor is ready, she said. But the person who activates it at the Nexus will need to interface directly with the Void network. What does that mean? Hayes asked. It means, Bennett replied grimly, that whoever activates it will essentially join with the Void consciousness. Their mind will be absorbed. Silence fell over the ship as they realized what they were facing. Not just a suicide mission, but something potentially worse than death. Jack looked out at the swirling darkness ahead that marked the edge of the Nexus. So one of us has to sacrifice not just their life, but their mind. I'll do it, Hayes said immediately. But Jack shook his head. No. According to Kiran, human minds resist absorption better. It has to be me. The Firefly continued forward, entering the dark cloud that surrounded the heart of the Void Dominion. Ahead lay the Nexus, and a choice that would change the course of the war forever. The survivors regrouped at a hidden Coalition base built inside a hollow asteroid. 2 weeks had passed since their defeat. Jack had recovered from the neural attack, though he still had nightmares about the pain. He walked through the busy command center where humans and aliens worked side by side. Admiral Kiriax and Colonel Hayes stood at the main strategic table, studying a complex 3D map. We need to strike at the source, Hayes was saying. These defensive battles aren't enough. Dr. Bennett joined them, carrying a data tablet. I've been analyzing the neural weapon they used against us. It's designed to target the specific way human brains work. They studied us carefully. Can you create a defense against it? Kirax asked. Not entirely, but Lucas and I have developed a partial shield. It won't block the effect completely, but it should reduce the impact enough for humans to function. Jack looked at the map, noticing a dark area at its center. What's that? He asked, pointing. Kirax's expression darkened. That is what we believe to be the central consciousness of the Void Dominion. We call it the Nexus, the heart of the hive mind, Olivia said, entering the room. She had a healing cut across her forehead. Exactly, Kirax confirmed. All Void ships and weapons are controlled from this central point, but it's deep in their territory, protected by thousands of vessels. Jack studied the map more carefully. Has anyone ever tried to reach it? 3 times, Kirax replied. None returned. Hayes straightened up, his mind made up. Then we need a small team. A single fast ship might slip through where a fleet would be detected. The room fell silent as everyone considered this suicidal mission. I'll go, Jack said finally. Me too, added Lucas. Olivia shook her head. It's a one-way trip. Not necessarily, Dr. Bennett interjected. She pulled up a new display showing the strange device. I've been working on something. The Void's neural network has a specific frequency. This device could potentially disrupt it, but it needs to be placed directly at the Nexus. How would we even find this Nexus? Hayes asked. Commander Ilara, who had been quiet until now, stepped forward. I might know someone who can help. My brother, Kiran, was on a research vessel that was captured by the Void 3 years ago. We believed everyone was killed, but recently we detected a signal using his personal code. She showed them a recorded message, a series of apparently random pulses. It's a map, Ilara explained. Coordinates through void territory, leading to the Nexus. He must be alive somehow, fighting their control. Kirax considered this information. This changes things. We could send a small infiltration team along this path. I'll lead it, Hayes volunteered, with Jack, Lucas, and Ilara. Dr. Bennett added, I'll support remotely. The device needs specific calibration as you approach the Nexus. Preparations began immediately. They selected a small, fast coalition ship with advanced stealth technology. Lucas modified it further, incorporating human unpredictability into its systems. The night before departure, Jack couldn't sleep. He wandered to the observation deck and found Olivia already there, staring at the stars. You should be resting, she said without turning. So should you. They stood in silence for a moment before Olivia spoke again. I wanted to go with you. Hayes needed you to coordinate from here, Jack replied. You're the best tactical mind we have. That's not why I wanted to go. Jack looked at her, understanding in his eyes. I know, but someone has to stay behind to make sure there's still a coalition to save. Olivia turned to face him. Promise me you'll find a way back. Before Jack could answer, an alarm sounded. They raced to the command center to find everyone in motion. Void scout ships detected near the outer perimeter, reported a coalition officer. They found us, Kirax said grimly. The mission must launch now, before they bring their main force. Hayes gathered his team. Gear up. We leave in 10 minutes. As Jack prepared to board the mission ship, now named Firefly, Olivia handed him a small device. It's linked to Dr. Bennett's neural shield, she explained. Keep it with you. The Firefly launched under cover of a brief skirmish as coalition forces engaged the Void Scouts. The small ship slipped away, cloaked by stealth technology and the chaos of battle. Inside, Jack looked at his companions. Colonel Hayes, stern and determined. Lucas, nervously checking his equipment, and Commander Ilara, hoping against hope to find her lost brother. Setting course for the first coordinates, Jack announced. The Firefly accelerated away from the asteroid base, heading toward the heart of enemy territory, toward the nexus that controlled the Void Dominion, and possibly toward humanity's last hope. I did not believe Commander Ilara when she suggested seeking your help, he admitted, his voice translated through small devices attached to each human suit. I thought you would be too primitive, too chaotic to aid our cause. I was wrong. He activated a holographic display showing a distant star system. This is Proxys 9, a key supply route for our remaining forces. The Void Dominion will attack it within 48 hours. Your task is to defend it using methods they cannot predict. Lucas had spent days modifying coalition ships with what he called human upgrades, weapon systems that deliberately introduced randomness, engines that could perform illogical maneuvers, and communication systems that used ever-changing codes. The modified ships are ready, Admiral, Lucas reported. They won't behave like any vessels the Void has encountered before. The loading began. Humans boarded coalition transports in groups of 50. Many looked nervous, but their training held. Jack found himself on a ship with Olivia and 20 other specialists, primarily pilots and tactical experts. Their transport, renamed Eagle One by its new crew, detached from Earth Station and moved toward a shimmer in space, a slip point that would take them across the galaxy in hours rather than centuries. Jump in 10 seconds, announced the coalition pilot. Jack grabbed Olivia's hand as the stars outside began to stretch and blur. His stomach lurched as the ship entered the slip point. For a brief moment, reality itself seemed to bend around them. Then they emerged in a new star system, orbiting a ringed planet of deep purple. Welcome to Proxys 9, Commander Ilara said, entering the bridge. The Coalition Defense Fleet is assembling now. Through the view screen, Jack saw dozens of coalition ships taking position around the planet. They were elegant, clearly built by species who valued form as well as function. Eagle One joined them, along with the other human crewed vessels. Admiral Kirax's voice came through the communication system. All ships maintain formation. Our sensors indicate void vessels will emerge from the dark sector within 6 hours. Colonel Hayes responded immediately. Respectfully, Admiral, that's exactly what they'll expect. Request permission to implement Human Strategy Alpha. There was a pause before Kirax replied. Proceed, Colonel. The defense is yours to coordinate. Instead of maintaining the standard defensive formation, Hayes ordered the coalition ships to scatter in seemingly random patterns. Some powered down to hide their energy signatures. Others positioned themselves behind moons and asteroids. This is madness, the coalition captain complained. We're leaving gaps in our defense. Those gaps are traps, Olivia explained patiently. We're creating patterns that look like mistakes. 5 hours later, the sensors lit up. 7 Void Dominion ships emerged from the darkness of space, their surfaces shifting like oil on water. They moved toward Proxys 9 in their usual arrow formation. They're scanning for our defenses, reported a coalition officer. They'll detect our scattered formation. Good, Jack said with a grim smile. Let them think we're disorganized. The Void ships adjusted course, moving confidently toward what they perceived as a weakness in the defensive line. They didn't change formation or take any precautions. They took the bait, Hayes announced. All ships, execute ambush protocol now. The hidden coalition ships suddenly powered up. The scattered vessels converged from unexpected angles. Human-modified weapons fired in unpredictable bursts. The Void ships, caught by surprise, tried to adapt to the chaotic attack. For the first time in 12 battles, the coalition had seized the initiative. It's working, Ilara whispered, watching as 2 Void ships took heavy damage. Admiral Kirax's voice held a note of wonder. Continue the attack. For the first time in this war, I believe we may win. The human volunteers gathered in a massive hangar at the edge of Earth's atmosphere, a hastily constructed facility attached to an expanded space station. 5,000 men and women stood in neat rows, wearing newly designed spacesuits that combined Earth and coalition technology. Colonel Hayes walked along the front line, his face serious. Today we leave Earth, not just as Americans, Russians, Chinese, or Indians, but as humans, the first humans to fight in a war beyond our solar system. Jack, Olivia, Lucas, and Dr. Bennett stood with the command team. They had been training nonstop for 2 weeks, learning as much as possible about coalition ships and void tactics. Are we really ready for this? Jack whispered to Olivia. She gave a small shrug. Probably not. But ready or not, the void isn't waiting. Admiral Kirax, who had arrived from Althea 3 days earlier, stepped forward to address the humans. His 4 arms were folded across his chest in a gesture of respect. 1 week after the aliens landed, a special team of humans worked inside Ilara's ship. The world governments had argued for days before agreeing to help. Now Jack, Olivia, Engineer Lucas Reyes, and Dr. Eleanor Bennett were getting a crash course in galactic warfare. Lucas ran his hand over a control panel that responded to his touch with soft blue light. This technology is at least 200 years beyond ours, he said, his voice filled with wonder. Dr. Bennett, a brilliant scientist with short gray hair, studied alien biological data on a floating screen. It's not just their technology that's advanced. Their biology, their social structures, everything. Which makes it even stranger that they need our help, Olivia said. She turned to Commander Ilara, who stood nearby. You still haven't fully explained what humans can offer that your coalition can't. Ilara gestured toward a large display at the center of the room. It showed recordings of battles between coalition forces and the Void Dominion. The coalition ships moved in perfect formation, their attacks precisely coordinated. But the Void ships, dark and shapeless, seemed to absorb the attacks and counter in unexpected ways. Watch this recording carefully, Ilara said. Our military strategists analyzed this battle for months and could not understand why we lost. Jack stepped closer to the display, his eyes narrowing. After a moment, he pointed to a small movement in the Void Fleet. There. They shifted their formation before your attack even started. They knew exactly what you were going to do. Ilara's eyes widened. You saw that immediately. Our analysts took weeks to notice that detail. Jack shrugged. It's obvious. They're reading your playbook somehow. Dr. Bennett joined him at the display. Show us more battles, she requested. Over the next few hours, the humans watched dozens of recordings. Each time, Jack or Olivia, or one of the others would spot something the Coalition had missed. Patterns emerged. Weaknesses became apparent. Your problem is predictability, Lucas said finally. Your ships always follow the most efficient, logical course of action. Of course, Ilara replied. Why would we do otherwise? Because the enemy knows what's logical, Olivia explained. They're counting on you to be predictable. Dr. Bennett was typing rapidly on a tablet, correlating data. There's something more, she said. Based on these readings, I believe the Void Dominion operates as a hive mind, a single consciousness controlling many bodies. But human brains work differently. We're individuals with unique thought patterns, which means they can't predict us as easily, Jack added. Ilara looked at each human in turn. This is precisely why we came to Earth. Your species evolved on a dangerous planet with countless threats. You developed unpredictable thinking as a survival mechanism. What seems illogical to us might be exactly what we need. A new voice entered the conversation. And that's why I'm here. They turned to see Colonel Samuel Hayes entering the room. Tall and serious, Hayes was the military liaison assigned to the project. Behind him came several officers from various countries. The UN Security Council has voted, Hayes announced. Earth will join your fight, Commander Ilara. We're assembling a volunteer force of military personnel and specialists. How many? Ilara asked. 5,000 to start, Hayes replied. The best we have. Dr. Bennett looked concerned. 5,000 humans against a galactic threat. That's nothing. Numbers aren't what matters here, Jack said. It's how we think. If we can teach the Coalition to be unpredictable, or better yet, Olivia interrupted, modify their technology to work the way we need it to. Lucas was already examining the ship's weapon systems. Their technology is advanced, but it follows rules. If we can bend those rules, he grinned. I already have some ideas. Over the next few days, the small human team worked tirelessly. Lucas discovered ways to modify Coalition weapons for unpredictable firing patterns. Dr. Bennett mapped human neural responses that could confuse void sensors. Jack and Olivia trained with Coalition pilots to teach them human-style evasive maneuvers. Colonel Hayes watched it all with growing confidence. What had started as a desperate plea for help was becoming something more, a fusion of human ingenuity and alien technology. Operation Earthborn begins in 3 days, Hayes announced. We launch from orbit to join the Coalition fleet. Jack looked out the viewport at the Earth below. I never thought I'd go further than the moon, he said quietly. Olivia squeezed his shoulder. Now we're going to save the galaxy. Jack Miller floated outside the International Space Station, carefully replacing a damaged solar panel. Earth spun below him, peaceful and blue. Through his helmet, he heard mission specialist Olivia Wright giving him instructions from inside the station. Just 2 more bolts, Jack. Then we can call it a day, Olivia said. Jack smiled. Roger that. Can't wait to get back inside. My mom's birthday is next week, and I still need to record a message to send home. A flash of light caught his eye. At first, he thought it was just the sun reflecting off debris, but then the light grew larger and took shape. A vessel unlike anything he had ever seen appeared, its surface shimmering with colors that shouldn't exist in space. Olivia, Jack said, his voice suddenly tight. Are you seeing this? Silence. Then, mission control is going crazy. They're asking if we deployed something. That's a negative. That's not one of ours. The strange ship slowed as it approached the space station, coming to a stop just 500 meters away. It was smooth and oval-shaped, about the size of a small airplane, with no visible engines or windows. Jack's radio crackled with static, then cleared. A voice spoke in perfect English, though with an odd musical quality. "Greetings, people of Earth. We come in peace and urgent need. My name is Commander Ilara of the Galactic Coalition. We request immediate dialogue with your planetary leaders." Within hours, Earth was in chaos. Military jets scrambled worldwide. News channels broadcast nothing else. Social media exploded with theories and fears. The United Nations Security Council called an emergency session. Jack and Olivia were ordered to maintain communication, but take no risks. They became humanity's first ambassadors by accident. They want to dock with the station, Olivia told Mission Control. Their ship's representative, Commander Ilara, says she needs to speak with Earth's leaders face to face. "Absolutely not," came the reply from the UN Temporary Crisis Committee. "We have no idea what their intentions are." Jack, who had been listening to Ilara's explanations for the past hour, unmuted his microphone. "With respect, sir, I think we should hear them out. They've had plenty of chances to harm us, and they haven't." "Astronaut Miller, this is General Winters. You are not authorized to make that call." "Sir," Jack persisted, "they say Earth is in danger. Something called the Void Dominion is consuming worlds across the galaxy. The Coalition needs our help." "Our help?" The General's voice was incredulous. "What could an advanced alien civilization possibly need from us?" Commander Ilara's voice joined the channel. "General, if I may. My ship carries proof of everything we claim. The Void Dominion has destroyed 37 inhabited worlds in the past cycle. Your planet is isolated but not hidden. You will be found." After tense negotiations, the UN agreed to allow a small diplomatic party from the Coalition to land at a remote military base in northern Canada. Fighter jets escorted the shuttle all the way down. Olivia and Jack were recalled from the space station on the next available transport to join the welcome committee. Their unique position as the first humans to communicate with the aliens made them valuable. 3 days later, they stood on the tarmac as Commander Ilara emerged from her vessel. She was humanoid but clearly alien, tall and slender with silver blue skin and large dark eyes. Behind her came 2 other beings, each different in form. "Thank you for agreeing to meet," Ilara said, bowing slightly to the assembled officials. The UN Secretary-General stepped forward. "You claim our world is in danger. We need proof." Ilara nodded and gestured to one of her companions, who held out a small device. It projected a 3-dimensional image in midair, a recording of a beautiful green planet. Then the image changed to show the same world being enveloped by a dark, shifting mass. The mass consumed everything, leaving only barren rock. "This was Neridus, home to 8 billion souls," Ilara said quietly. "This recording was made 30 days ago. The void takes everything, absorbs all life, all knowledge, and it's coming here." Jack looked at Olivia, whose face had gone pale. He felt it too, the cold certainty that everything had just changed forever. "What exactly do you want from us?" the Secretary-General asked. Ilara's large eyes reflected the sunlight as she replied, "Something only humans can provide. A way to fight that no one else has found." The massive crystal dome of the Althian High Council chamber filled with anxious murmurs. Delegates from 32 species sat in tiered rings, their diverse forms illuminated by the pale blue emergency lighting. No one wanted to speak first. No one wanted to admit what they all knew. They were losing the war. Admiral Kirak stood at the center platform, his 4 arms hanging limply at his sides. The holographic display above showed the remains of the Coalition's defense fleet at Proxima Station, now just scattered debris and rescue pods, their 12th major defeat in a row. The Void Dominion will reach the Centauri system within 14 cycles, Kyrax said, his voice crackling with fatigue. From there, they have a direct path to our remaining core worlds. The Silicon representative, a crystalline being who rarely displayed emotion, trembled visibly. Then we are finished. The Dominion cannot be stopped by conventional means. Perhaps it is time to consider unconventional means, said a quiet voice from the lower tier. All eyes turned to Commander Ilara, a junior diplomat whose silver-blue skin marked her as a native Althian. Despite her relative youth, she had earned respect for her work studying isolated worlds. You refer to Case 2173? Admiral Kyrax asked. Ilara nodded and stood. I do. I believe the time has come to contact Earth. The chamber erupted in objections. The humans are barely interplanetary. They still fight among themselves. They would be more dangerous than the void. Admiral Kyrax raised his upper arms, and the chamber fell silent. Commander Ilara, Earth has been kept in isolation for good reasons. Their species displays extreme aggression, territorial behavior, and technological development far outpacing their ethical evolution. The containment protocol was established by our ancestors with near unanimous consent. With respect, Admiral, Ilara said, stepping forward, those same traits might be exactly what we need. The Void Dominion defeats us because it thinks as one mind, predictable, logical, methodical. But humans, she activated her own display, showing scenes from Earth. A firefighter rushing into a burning building, soldiers defending civilians, scientists celebrating a breakthrough, artists creating in various media. Humans are unpredictable. They act against self-interest. They create solutions no logical species would consider, and they survive against overwhelming odds. An ancient Volturian elder, skin wrinkled like ancient parchment, leaned forward. I was there when we first observed Earth, 300 cycles ago. We watched them destroy their environment, wage terrible wars, oppress their own kind. But we also saw them heal their world, end their worst conflicts, and reach beyond their own gravity well through sheer determination. The elder's eyes fixed on Ilara. You are suggesting we not only break the containment protocol, but ask these children to fight our war. I am suggesting, Ilara replied firmly, that we give them the choice. The void will reach them eventually. They deserve the opportunity to stand with us. Admiral Kyrax studied the war map, where red indicators showed the relentless advance of the Void Dominion. The protocol requires unanimous consent to break containment. One by one, the representatives signaled their agreement, some enthusiastic, others resigned. The Silicon was last, their crystalline form catching the light as they raised a reluctant appendage in assent. It is decided, Kyrax announced. Commander Ilara, as our foremost expert on Earth, you will lead the contact mission. Choose your team carefully. If the humans reject our plea or prove unstable, you are authorized to withdraw immediately and reinstate containment. Ilara bowed deeply. I understand, Admiral. As the council dispersed, Ilara felt a hand on her shoulder. It was the Volturian elder. I remember something else about humans, the elder whispered. They have a concept their greatest philosophers wrestle with, hope in the face of certain defeat. It makes no logical sense, but they cling to it nonetheless. Let us hope it's contagious, Ilara replied. 3 days later, Ilara stood on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel Starlight Envoy as it prepared to break the containment field around Sol system. Her small team, specialists in communication, cultural integration, and defensive systems, watched her with a mixture of fear and anticipation. Set course for Earth, she commanded, and may the stars guide our path. As the ship entered slipstream, Ilara stared at the viewscreen showing their destination. A small blue planet, unaware it was about to be thrust onto the galactic stage. Humanity's isolation about to end not with tentative greetings, but with a desperate plea for salvation.